So the ATF is trying to dismiss the Texas lawsuit, which claims that the ATF has no authority to regulate suppressors exclusively made in Texas and sold in Texas. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think the NFA needs to be abolished, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel over the last week or so and who's tried to help me reach that 300,000 subscriber goal that I have here on this channel. And I want to reach that before my 3-year anniversary, which is going to be about in early July. So again, I just want to thank everybody. You guys are absolutely awesome. And also for those of you who are not currently subscribed, please consider subscribing and help me to reach that goal. So I guess in the intro, the state of Texas is suing the ATF to prevent them from being able to regulate firearm suppressors made in Texas and sold in Texas. In response to the lawsuit filed by the state of Texas, the ATF filed their response and is seeking to dismiss the case. Well, we have received an order from the court in regards to the ATF's motion to dismiss. Now, this lawsuit arises out of the Texas House Bill 957, which was passed last year. HB 957 aimed to exempt from federal regulation all suppressors that are made in Texas and remain in Texas. This Texas law requires that suppressors made in Texas be stamped actually made in Texas, and it bars all local agencies and entities from enforcing inconsistent federal laws against Texas residents who purchase these made in Texas suppressors. The claim behind this law is that since these items are made and sold in the state of Texas, they do not fall under interstate commerce and therefore fall outside the purview of federal regulation by the ATF. Currently, federal law regulates suppressors, making it illegal to own a firearm suppressor for personal use without paying a tax to the federal government, and it also is an offense to possess, manufacture, transport, repair, or to sell a suppressor unless the person complies with federal guidelines, including registration as well. After Texas passed this law last year, the ATF sent the state of Texas a letter essentially threatening that they will enforce the NFA and GCA's regulations against these made in Texas suppressors and that they will enforce it against anyone who buys or sells these items. After the ATF sent that warning letter, Texas filed a lawsuit on behalf of individual Texas plaintiffs against the ATF. In the lawsuit, the state of Texas argued, heavy federal taxation and regulation of firearm suppressors made in Texas for personal use in Texas does not survive Heller's recognition that the right to keep and bear arms is an individual fundamental right. The enshrinement of constitutional rights necessarily takes certain policy choices off the table. They also argue that federal regulation of firearm suppressors made in Texas for personal use in Texas cannot be justified as regulations of interstate commerce or as laws necessary and proper for carrying into execution such regulations of interstate commerce. The state of Texas therefore argued that the court should enjoin federal law as applied to taxing and regulating firearm suppressors made in Texas for personal use in Texas because that law violates the Second Amendment. In their lawsuit, Texas also points to the fact that there are no other examples of direct federal taxes on the exercise of a constitutional right. But for whatever reason, the ATF gets away with a taxation on the Second Amendment and the exercise of Second Amendment rights. In response to the lawsuit filed by Texas, the DOJ responded by filing a motion to dismiss the case. A motion to dismiss is simply a legal mechanism where either side can seek to have a case thrown out by the court because of something like a failure to state a claim. In their motion, the DOJ argued this case should be thrown out, first because the court lacks jurisdiction to hear a case because of the Anti-Injunction Act, which bars these types of claims that are brought by the state of Texas. The DOJ argued that the AIA bars a lawsuit from being brought against the government's collection of taxes, even when constitutional claims are brought in connection with that lawsuit. So here the ATF and the DOJ is trying to frame this whole issue as a collection of tax issue, and they're claiming under the AIA you can't sue the government based on the collection of taxes. The second argument that the DOJ made in their motion to dismiss was that Texas is barred from bringing the claim because Texas lacks standing because it has no injury to claim. At the federal level, legal actions cannot be brought simply on the ground that an individual or group is displeased with a government's action or a specific law. Federal courts only have constitutional authority to resolve actual disputes, i.e. cases and controversies. One of the key elements of proving you have standing is a showing that you as a plaintiff have suffered an injury in fact, meaning that your injury is a legally protected interest, which is A, concrete and particularized, and B, actual or imminent. The DOJ claims that Texas cannot prove any of that. In their complaint, Texas argued it has standing to assert its sovereign interest in regulating the making of firearm suppressors within Texas that will stay in Texas. The DOJ, in contrast, claims that there is no such sovereign interest and the state simply is making this up by passing this bill, and they cannot create a sovereign interest in protecting and regulating suppressors or suppressors made in Texas by simply passing this bill. For all those reasons, the DOJ and ATF requested a motion to dismiss from the court, and they wanted the court to throw this case out completely. In response to the ATF's motion to dismiss, the state of Texas filed a response and also amended their complaint. After that, the court just issued an order in regard to the ATF's motion to dismiss. And the order of the court is as following. On April 26, 2022, defendant filed a motion to dismiss, arguing that the Anti-Injunction Act bars plaintiffs' claims and that Texas lacks standing. On May 17th, plaintiffs timely filed a response to the motion and a first amended complaint. The amended complaint drops the plaintiffs' claims under the Commerce Clause and the Necessary and Proper Clause, while splitting their claims under the NFA into 3 specific counts. Generally, the filing of an amended complaint renders moot a motion to dismiss the original complaint. However, the court has discretion to apply the original motion to dismiss to the amended complaint if the deficiencies and arguments from the first motion remain relevant. Accordingly, the court concludes that the parties' briefing would assist in this matter. The court therefore orders the parties to file a joint status report with parties' positions regarding whether the amended complaint moots the pending motion no later than May 24th, 2022. So based on this order, essentially in my eyes, the court appears to be signaling that they are considering to actually still grant this motion to dismiss and dismissing it in favor of the ATF. Like the court stated in the order, the general rule is that when a party amends a complaint to address a motion to dismiss, that amendment will moot the motion, meaning that that motion is no longer valid. So the ATF filed for a motion to dismiss. The plaintiffs here, the state of Texas, amended their complaint, and that should have completely got rid of that motion. However, the court here appears to not think that the amended complaint mooted the issues presented in the motion, and therefore they are saying that they need additional briefing to assist them to make up their mind. To me, I would not be surprised if the court finds in favor of the ATF and grants the motion to dismiss despite the amended complaint. Now, even if the court does grant the ATF's motion to dismiss, this case is not done by any means. The state of Texas can still appeal up to the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals and seek further review. So this is a weird case and issue, and I expect a lot of up and downs in this case going forward now. In my opinion, the DOJ is trying to frame this case purely as a tax case in an effort to make it as palatable as possible for the court to completely toss it out. I think now the state of Texas will try to make this more of a pure 2A case going forward, and I think that's also why they dropped some of those original claims that they were making in their original complaint, especially because they were facing a lot of opposition based on how the DOJ was framing the case. And I think they just decided, I'm going to get rid of those, try to get rid of this motion, and just maybe make this more of a pure 2A case and a pure challenge to the NFA. Now, one thing I would like to note in this video, like I have in others, is that if I were in Texas, I would not engage in this Made in Texas suppressor issue until this case is actually resolved. And that is especially because the ATF has indicated to everyone in Texas and FFLs as well and gun stores that they will prosecute individuals who are in possession of these Made in Texas suppressors and don't register them or don't pay a tax for them. The ATF is already signaling that they would go after these items, and if they did get a motion to dismiss, I would expect the ATF to be even more aggressive, maybe going after people who jumped the gun and decided to take possession of those items. But as this case develops, if we get any further updates, I will let you all know. If you like this video and support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algor's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever do on my own. So again, thank you so much for all of your support. And as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this is Built by Armed Scholars, and this nation will be maintained by Armed Scholars.